it's Olivia-Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today we are here for the final week of Gothtober reading vlog. Oh my goodness, it's happening. So in this final week I've still got some fun things planned. Today though I'm just working, staying at home, meal prepping and doing some chores that need to be done, and hopefully reading a lot more of my books, because to complete my Gothtober, reading list, I need to finish 3 books in the next week. So let's see if I can do it. Do you know what? It's quite funny because I think last time when I closed up the vlog, I mentioned about how this surprised me and things. The situation was not what I thought it was, which is actually funny to me because now that I've just read a couple chapters past part 2, I realized that my predictions were correct. And while there were more circumstances to the predictions than I thought, my exact predictions were bang on. Like I got this 100%, so I'm still feeling proud of myself. I do still know Freida McFadden's thriller elements. It's just like, imagine if there were 3 things to guess and I guessed 2 of the 3, but the 3rd thing, it doesn't matter if I guessed it or not. That's exactly what this situation is. So yeah, I'm still feeling pretty proud of myself. I could see where this was going and I got, all the right people. But now that I've, I'm still 80 pages from the end, so even though I've been proved correct in what I thought was going to happen, I know that the story needs to still wrap up and resolve, and I don't quite know how it's going to do that, wrapping up and resolving. So that'll be a fun thing to find out more about. Hello. You might be wondering why I'm like pressed up against the bed like this. Oh no, laundry out the way. As you can see, like if I move too much, the light does its own thing. So we're gonna stay like on this side of the room. But I'm here to give you a bit of an update. So Comic-Con happened this weekend. Whatever footage I got was the footage that I got, okay? Comic-Con is always just such a busy thing. Oh, this isn't. No. Alright, it's time for me to do an update. So Comic-Con was this weekend and whatever footage I got was the footage that I got, okay? It was so busy, especially my first day. So I didn't go on Friday, I went on Saturday, and Saturday was the day when I was doing all the work stuff. I was kind of running around a little bit and it was so busy. Saturday's the busiest day, so it's a hard day to like get into it, and this time they put the writer's block area somewhere that was really hard to get to and very far away. But it was fine. The events that I had with my authors went fine, which was really good. More than fine, they went well, which was really good, and I got some books signed. And then on Sunday I went back and I went as a fangirl and a fangirl only. I didn't have to work. I did end up doing quite a bit of networking because even though I wasn't there for work, there were still other publicists and other booksellers who were there for work purposes, so I got to talk to them and mingle and do all the networking stuff you should probably do. But the most important thing that I went there for, the priority of me going, was to see Eric LaRocca on their panel, because Eric LaRocca is based in the US and they've never come to the UK to tour, and they do have a singular Waterstones event, but why pay for it when I get a pass to Comic-Con with work? So I was so excited. I walked in and I was like, ooh, this is great. And then I went into the signing queue, and before I could even say anything I was like, hello. Eric was like, hi, are you Olivia-Savannah? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I really like your channel, which was so, I was like, what? So shout out to Eric if you happen to watch this particular video, because I was so excited to meet you and it was so lovely to meet you. And I really love Eric LaRocca's books. Since they've become traditionally published, that's when I kind of cottoned onto their work, and I've read all of the books that they've traditionally published since they've been published, except for the latest one, which just came out like last month or something, so I still need to read that, but I'm so excited to. So yeah, of the weekend. I got books signed by Eric LaRocca. I also got books signed by L.D. Lipinski and Logan Hanning. They wrote Kickflip, which I read a little while ago and I absolutely loved. So I'll leave a link to my review of that down below. And I also got Jamie signed by L.D. Lipinski because they were there, so why not bring both books? I also, on impulse, bought a copy of Itch by Gemma Amor because Gemma was just such a great chair and so good on the panel, which she was on with one of my authors. So I impulse bought the book and got it signed then and there. And then the day before, I work with TJ Klune, so I got to see TJ Klune again. I got signed 4 books by him. So I've seen him before I had my job at Macmillan, and so he signed like so many books for me then. But since then he's also published so many more, so I bought 4 new books for him to sign. And I think I got 1 more book. Oh yes, Eliza Clark. So again, Eliza Clark was on one of my authors' panels, but nobody kind of expected her to be there. I don't know what happened, what mistake Comic Con made, but I was pleasantly surprised to see her on the panel. She was so like dark and mysterious, and I told her that her book was one of the most disturbing things I've ever read, and she was like, "Thank you very much, I like your hair," which was such you know, interaction that personified the cool mysterious vibe she had going on. She was also wearing all black and I love to wear all black, so I bought on the spot a copy of She's Always Hungry, which she signed for me. I have read Penance before, which I really liked and found very disturbing. So that was my Comic-Con experience. Now I need to tell you there's only 5 days left in Gothtober, so I'm feeling the countdown for sure. The book that I finished reading was The Coworker, so I think I checked in with you like after one of the big twists and I was like, okay, I did see things coming in the end even though I thought I hadn't, and it was a pretty good ending since that point. Like there was more in store, you know, Freida McFadden loves to keep you on your toes until the very last chapter, so there was definitely like more to unravel and I liked it. I think it's just the same with Freida McFadden thrillers. Every single time I read the whole thing and I'm like, that was good, whatever, and it's not like they're bad because I keep reading them, and it's just because me and my thrillers it's a genre where I tend to rate nearly every book 3 stars. Like I consider Karen McManus one of my favorite YA thriller writers. Most of her books I've rated 3 stars, so that just goes to show that for me thrillers it's hard to impress. But so I enjoyed this. I do still just feel a bit about the autism representation, but it's so hard for me to comment on as someone who's not autistic. But I didn't love the autism representation, but not that it was bad, just that I didn't love it. So yeah, good easy Freida McFadden read. On to the next one, probably next month. I'll just keep on reading her books. And then I was supposed to finish Play Nice yesterday, it just didn't happen. So I'm enjoying Play Nice, and actually I was feeling a bit slow and laggy with this, and then something really dark and gruesome happened and I was like, wow, we're getting to some body gore, which I didn't expect from this book because it hadn't done that so far. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the super messed up family dynamics and this question of unreliable narrator. I'm loving all of the unreliable narrator stuff, the sibling dynamic and the questions around the parents. All of that is very good. It's been a bit slow on the house is haunted front, but then it ramped it up and I had a very good time. But after that, it slowed it back down again, and I'm just so lost in the pacing of this book. I think the weakest element of this book is the pacing. I think it could have been 300 pages. It did not have to be 400 pages. You could shave 100 pages off of this and still make it very good. My favourite character is a secondary character. I don't know what his experience is going to be like by the end of the book, but I hope, you know, he's doing all right somewhere and that by the end of the book he makes it out happily. I just think the pacing is the problem. I think everything else about this I really love, and it's actually been quite interesting because I put a photo on Instagram of the like quotes at the beginning of the book, and she quotes Doja Cat and she quotes Jade Sharma and she quotes someone else. I'm not going to tell you which quote, but because I read all of those at the beginning of reading the book, and then I read most of the book, and then I've come back around to them for the photo, and I was like, oh my gosh, she literally lays it out on page 1, but it's hidden in the quotes, and I was like, that's so clever. So there's just so much I like about this, but the pacing is really tripping me up. So I've got like maths, tricky thing to do. I've got 60 pages left, so I'm really near the home stretch, and I'm like, what's going to happen in this home stretch, because I still don't really have much of an indication of how it's going to end. But my plan is to finish this tonight, because that leaves me with only 4 days to finish Camp Damascus. And I know you're thinking, Camp Damascus, you've only got 125 pages left. Surely Olivia-Savannah, who reads so many books a month, can do that in 4 days. I could do if I didn't have after work plans every single day this week. So we are going to try and do more reading in the mornings and see how that goes, but I'm also wanting to work out and do yoga in the morning, so bit of a toss up. But yeah, that's where I am, and it's time for advent calendar. So this is our last advent calendar of Gothtober, number 23, and then it's just number 24 at the very end, which will probably happen in December. I don't think I'm making a vlog in November because I think I'm taking a break. Maybe I'm not taking a break. Who knows? We'll find out. But yeah, we will see what happens when that last one gets open. Let's see what this is. Ooh, a snooze sleepy tea with lavender. Happy Christmas Eve. Oh my gosh. When you're doing your calendar and it's not Christmas Eve. If the festive excitement is keeping you up at night, a sleepy blend of chamomile and lavender will help you drift off in no time. That's actually really lovely, because I adore chamomile tea, and I especially adore chamomile with lavender. I think it's such a good combination. I've had it many times before. I often have this kind of tea to help me sleep. As an insomniac, having a sleep tea is really helpful. So I've had many of these before, but I've never actually had the Tea Pigs version. So I'll be curious to see what Tea Pigs' take is on this, because I'm trying to keep chamomile and lavender. Lavender is my sleep scent as well, which I think I've said many times. But as I'm trying to keep chamomile and lavender as a sleep tea, I cannot drink this tea at any point except for right before bed to help with sleep associations. I mean, insomniac gotta do so many things with sleep associations. But let's read the back, and then probably tonight before bed I will make myself this and we can give it a taste test. I was hoping for one for like an evening reading session, but whatever, calendar didn't want that. So put down that phone, switch off your laptop, sit down, feet up, breathe deep, close your eyes. What? No time for all that pre-bedtime relaxation? Then put the kettle on and enjoy this soothing blend of apple, lavender, chamomile, known to support healthy sleep. Light, a little sweet and flowery. Off you go. Didn't realise it was going to have apple in it too. Pleasant addition. I think the next time I check in, I'll have finished this book. I better have finished this book. And just like that, I'm here from my chilly little flat in London to close this vlog. So let's start with the tea, because I feel like I'm going to sip it while we talk because it's been brewing for a while. This is the chamomile lavender tea. It smells lovely. That's delicious. I always have enjoyed chamomile and lavender. This is kind of a classic take on it. I don't think there's been one version of this type of tea that I've liked more than another, and Tea Pigs just does it very well as well. Okay, so the best or the most important question is, did I manage to finish my Gothtober TBR and, you know, read all the books for all the prompts? And the answer is yes. So let me run through those. I finally finished reading Play Nice and I did enjoy this one. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it was a very good haunted house story and a lot happened there at the end, which I really liked. I had a ship, my ship sailed. I had a favourite character, my favourite character made it out okay. And I really like kind of the thing that stood out to me the most about this book actually was the depiction of the three sisters and their roles in each other's lives, but also just the nature of gaslighting and lies and family manipulation is rife in this book, and I really kind of liked how that was tackled and shown and handled more than the haunted house element, even though of course the haunted house element did feed into this as well. My biggest issue with this book is the pacing. The pacing for this whole novel was all over the place. It would get somewhere suspenseful and then ramp the pace right down afterwards. Even towards the end, when we were having like so much suspenseful stuff happen, then at the end it would just like slow down all of a sudden, and I'm like, why? We've built up this tension, let's keep it going. So I do think the pacing is the only issue with this book that made it quite messy. But otherwise, I think it's still like very worthwhile reading. You can get a lot of satisfaction from it, and it is a classic haunted house story. I do think there were a couple things at the end that felt a bit too easy, but I had a good time from beginning to end, so I'll take it as it came. And this is fulfilling my sentient house prompt. I am the person who goes on the most about, you know, if it's a haunted house, it's not a sentient house. Those are two distinctly different things, and I still believe that, but in the sake of me flexing the rules to complete my Gothtober TBR, this fits the sentient house prompt. And then last but not least, remember back in the first vlog when I started a book called Released by Patrick Ness and then didn't pick it up for the rest of the month? Well, yesterday I sat down and I finished reading this. It was just going to be a bit, you know, easier for me to finish reading than Camp Damascus, which I'm enjoying but find quite taxing because it's very intense on its religious trauma, and I need to take that in smaller doses. So I didn't want to finish reading it all in one go, but I did go and read this, which is again about religious trauma. And, you know, this young gay boy trying to find himself and figure out who he is and come of age in this like hyper-religious family. And it was very good. So I think I mentioned in the first vlog, sorry that you got to remember from back then, that there is an element to this about this girl who was murdered and who is, you know, back walking around in real life, and that is a whole different like magical element, fantasy storyline and point of view, which is completely separate to the story of the boy coming of age. I have to say I don't understand that storyline at all. So Patrick Ness, like in A Monster Calls, has done this before where it's a contemporary story, but there's just like a slight magical element. He also did this in The Rest of Us Just Live Here, and usually they're two separate storylines that kind of echo each other in some way and then like all come together at the end. But in this particular book I just didn't understand how it all came together at the end, and so I'm just kind of forgetting that that storyline exists and writing it off, because that's like an abstract part of the book that I don't understand. I know it has themes of like forgiveness and moving on and letting go in it. That's all I got from it, and I think I was supposed to get a lot more. But for Adam's storyline, the like boy who is really struggling in this, he you follow him throughout one day. This whole book is set over the course of one day, and so much happens to him, and he just comes to so much realizations about breakups, broken hearts, chosen family, his relationship to his brother, and also separately but connected, his relationship to his parents, and how they choose to love him or choose when not to love him, because they all kind of have this unspoken understanding that he is gay, but they don't really understand that, you know, he has a boyfriend and he has, you know, slept with people before, and he is like a teenager doing teenager things. Yeah, so it was quite intense. There's a specific moment where everything kind of kicks off with the parents, and it was quite an intense conversation, especially to do with SA, so be ready for that, like sexual harassment in particular. And it was heart-wrenching and emotional, and sometimes it was emotional for the better, like it was a good emotion. The depiction of friendship in this is lovely. The brothers storyline, I'll leave you to explore that by yourself, but that really got me. And then of course, you know, the really complicated nature of what does it mean to be queer and religious, but in this one in particular in a religious trauma way. So I really enjoyed this, and I thought it was really, really good and really emotional, and Patrick Ness has such beautiful writing style, but I just was lost on the abstract side of things. And for this I put it under high expectations, because this is the 6th Patrick Ness book I've read, which is quite a lot for me when it comes to returning to an author, and I just have high expectations for his work because each time I really, really enjoy it. And at the end, in the acknowledgements, Patrick Ness describes this book as a combination of Virginia Woolf's Orlando meets Judy Blume's Forever, and I haven't read either of those books, but I know about both of those books, and I do think that's quite accurate. And then the last thing I want to talk to you about is that I went to see Othello in the theatres. the other day and I loved it. Othello is one of my favourite Shakespeare tragedies. I think it's such a good play. The villain in that one is so clear and so manipulative. I love a good manipulative villain, and Iago is definitely that in the play if you read it. And Othello himself is just like such a tortured character at certain points. Desdemona and Emilia, they are my new ship after watching the play on stage. I think they could have been so good together. Yeah, I really did enjoy seeing this on stage. I think they did a fantastic job with it. I was particularly excited to see David Harewood, who I am personally a fan of. I remember watching him in BBC's Robin Hood as a child growing up, and then going to see him live in this play was so exciting, and he was fantastic. But honestly, our casting was just amazing. We had Caitlin Fitzgerald as Desdemona, and she was a brilliant Desdemona. I just love the cadence of her voice either. Somebody should make that woman read audiobooks. And Toby Jones as our Iago, he pulled off the villainy of that so very well. He was so good and believable. And then last but not least, I just want to shout out to whoever played our Michael Cassio. I don't know the actor's name, but he was fantastic as Cassio. Like, he did a brilliant job. Cassio was actually one of my favorite depictions in stage on this. And also, I know Lodovico is like the smallest role ever, but I did like Lodovico as well. So in terms of casting, brilliant. In terms of staging, the stage is quite simple in this, but they did something really fun with the movement and smoke on the stage when it came to the storm and the tempest, and I loved that. And also just the way that they use lighting. I don't think I often, you know, in theatre just think, very good lighting, but because of Othello's nature of being a play where there's so much eavesdropping, a play where the villain is often addressing the audience and like bringing them in the conspiring and forming of this grand plan that he has, they used spotlighting so well. And there's a particular scene where Iago is trying to get Michael Cassio drunk. The way that they did that on the stage was fascinating, and I loved the like lighting effect that they had there and like the spotlighting, and I was just watching that happen and thinking that is masterfully choreographed. Whoever did the choreography for this play for that scene, 10 out of 10, no notes. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, it was great, and I just loved everything about seeing that on stage. I was actually emotional after watching it. I was like, this is what it's like when you see some of your favorite plays on stage, and I'm gonna be a wreck when I see Hamlet finally on stage because I'm just gonna love it so much. I already know. If you have to ask me what my favorite Shakespeare play is, I could probably list you about 5 plays, but if I had to choose one, I'd just go for the stereotypical Hamlet. But you know, maybe I should revise that and make it Othello. I'm really struggling to decide here. But there you have it. That's the end of my Gothtober vlogs. Thank you for spending this month with me. I'm about to take a long extended break from vlogging because I've just vlogged a whole month back to back, and I'm going to take some time off of camera to live my life. But please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't you forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And I forgot to ask you a question. Please let me know in the comment section down below, what are you currently reading? And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!